This is the Uptick Newswire Stock Day podcast, sponsored by InvestorsHangout.com. Subscribe to us on iTunes and YouTube to stay up to date on penny stock news and interviews, public information on OTC, pink sheets, and microcap stocks from around the world, with your host, Everett Jolly.
On today's show, I'm bringing back a returning guest. He was on my show back in November 2018, at the end of November. And at that time, they came on as Nanosensors under the ticker symbol NNSR. Today, they've changed their company name and their ticker symbol. They are now Green Zebra International Corp under the ticker symbol GZIC. And with us today is the CEO of that company. We're very fortunate to have him, Mr. Coleman Smith. Coleman, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Everett.
Name, symbol change. A lot has happened since the last 3 months that we've spoken to. So bring myself and my listeners up to speed, if you would.
Over the last 3 months, it's been a lot of work. Getting things changed, building the brand, converting it over from Nanosensors. We've operated as Nanosensors in the past, and the transition with the acquisition of Green Zebra in November, we took that brand name and we actually created Green Zebra International. It'll translate over pretty easily. And then we'll have the subsidiary, which will be Green Zebra Media.
Well, I want my listeners to try to understand, and myself too, what kind of company Green Zebra is going to be here in the near future. You're a wireless communication data analytics company, and I know that you guys are trying to penetrate stadiums, also big, venues of race car. How are you going to do that, and what's the game plan?
There's a couple of different strategies that we have in mind with regards to how Green Zebra International Corp is going to penetrate that market. Number one, Green Zebra really bridges the gap from the 5G, which is a connection from the telecoms that provide the speed. We bridge the gap from 5G to IoT, is a very simple way of saying it.
Internet of Things.
And the Internet of Things, that's correct. And this is the exciting part. With the acquisition of Green Zebra Media, we already had the relationships with a number of the telcos or the companies that provide the 5G, and we were working with them in connecting IoT type technologies. One of the other components of the acquisition was that it gave us the capability to expand on what we're doing with those venues, meaning the IoT, the marketing piece. Green Zebra Media basically is providing the marketing IoT component, the user engagement, if you will. So if we go to a stadium or a smart city, they're looking for ways to monetize and engage their users. It doesn't have to be marketing. It can be any way that the city or the venue is wanting to communicate and reach the end user. That's Green Zebra Media. That's the subsidiary. Green Zebra International, what we're looking to do is acquire additional IoT-type technologies that we do not have that will cater to Green Zebra Media Corp. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So
we're
going to be looking into the future. Not only is Green Zebra Media going to be bringing in the relationships and the accounts and the contracts, but we're also going to be looking at acquiring companies that are revenue generating that may be, let's just call it IT hosting or IT management. And we're going to look to purchase revenue generating companies that have profits. We're not going to start anything up. The quickest way for us to build in this emerging market is through acquisitions. The second part is the revenue generating component, which is the Green Zebra Media subsidiary, which is already going to be generating revenue and has contracts in place. So we're just adding to the value for the shareholders and for the business as a whole.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. You guys took over Green Zebra International's, I don't have the exact figures in front of me, but they're doing around $1 million in revenue. Probably will do more than that in 2019. Usually when you acquire a company, you create what's called toxic debt. How did you acquire them, and where do we go from here?
Well, Nanosensors, now Green Zebra International, I basically purchased the company. So I own 53% of the public company today, right? We merged in Green Zebra Media. We didn't take any toxic debt or loans or anything like that, and we don't plan to. As long as we're generating revenue and we have good strategic partners that's creating cash flow, there's no point in creating toxic debt. That toxic debt is a very broad topic to begin with. There's going to be, in acquisitions, it can be stock, it can be cash, it
Right.
can be a number of other things that's going to stretch over a period of time. With the acquisitions, if we're buying cash flow profitable small companies, we're not looking at buying huge organizations. If we can buy companies that are generating revenue between $5 million and $20 million in revenue with an EBITDA of 20-30% revenue profits, that's going to go to the bottom line that will give us cash flow to do additional things. Secondly, we're moving from not just loans, but using traditional financing or bank lines of
Right.
credit. We haven't had to use that at this point. So we're moving to getting the audit and looking at how we can file the S-1 with the SEC so that we can use the stock for acquisitions. So over the next several months, that's kind of the position that we've put ourselves in, and continuing to sign contracts with our partners and directly with our customers, our cities, our stadiums, those kind of things, will continue growing the revenue. So the most important piece of what we're doing, in my opinion, is creating the brand for Green Zebra. Not creating toxic debt, not short-term toxic financing to get us to where we want to be. I want to see this company in the next 3 to 5 years have an opportunity to have a big position in the 5G wireless industry that offers the IoT and user engagement. We want to be those advisors that's helping cities contribute to where we're going to be in the next 10 years.
I appreciate
it. And
that.
it all starts today.
Company that we're highlighting today here on Stock Day is Green Zebra International Corp. You can find them on the OTC markets under the ticker symbol GZIC. With us today is the CEO of that company, bringing us up to speed, Mr. Coleman Smith. Coleman, let me ask you this before I let you go. What would you want my listeners to take away from this interview?
It's a process. It's an emerging market, and we're here to grow. And if they have questions or they don't know about 5G, they don't know about IoT and how that's going to translate to the market from a shareholder's perspective, I want them to really understand the brand. Send me an email, make a phone call, and we're happy to help them get a better understanding. Give us some recommendations on how we can better help not only our shareholders, but also the market in general. This is a changing market, and your input is as important as our business model.
I want to thank you for stopping by and coming on the show today. It was a pleasure to have you on. I wish you nothing but continued success. Hopefully you'll come back on the show in 40 or 50 days. Give us an update of what's going on with Green Zebra International Corp. Again, you can find them on the OTC markets under the ticker symbol GZIC. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Always a pleasure. Thanks, Everett.
This program is entirely sponsored and produced by Uptick Newswire, LLC, which is responsible for the content. The opinions and information provided on this program are those of the guests and those of the respective companies they represent, and do not necessarily reflect those of the staff or management of Uptick Newswire. Uptick Newswire encourages all listeners of this program to do their due diligence and research when determining investment strategies that will work for them, or to seek the assistance of an investment professional. The guests of this program may have paid for its distribution and are not directly affiliated with Uptick Newswire or this station.